Hello property investors. Today's quick video is about the importance of not fudging your numbers. Don't fabricate your numbers to make the deal look any better than it is. So you need to make sure that obviously whatever your strategy is, service accommodation, HMO, buy to lets, whatever it is, okay, you need to make sure you've got those clear metrics for you to decide whether or not it's a deal or not, okay? So don't try to fabricate the numbers just so you can get a deal over the line or make it sound better than it actually is, especially obviously if you're dealing with investors and that type of thing. So you need to make sure that you're sticking with the main metrics which determine if it is a deal for you. So again, if it's a simple buy to let type product, how much cash flow is it each month? What's the return on capital employed? How much money am I going to bring out after the refinance and so on? So again, all those are slightly variable, but you need to have what I'd always class as like the three scenarios. The best outcome, okay outcome, and then the worst case scenario, okay? So always make sure it meets the certain metrics for that. So went on a couple of viewings yesterday. I'm old school, just in case you don't know. I like to always have the things printed out so I can see, the floor plans, what potential it's got. I'll scribble notes down before the viewing, I'll scribble notes down after the viewing as well. Then I'm reflecting it as well. So yesterday's viewing was, let's have a look, just a 3-bed ex-council up for 150, and it was a block viewing, and there was probably about, I've seen bigger block viewings, but there must have been 12, maybe 14 people there. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of competition scrambling over that. The area is good for yields. However, you probably know this anyway, what I always do is I'll always park up, only 1-2 minutes away, and then I'll actually walk the street to the property to see what the street's like and so on. Is it rubbish on the pavement? Is it rubbish on the paths? Is it rubbish on the floor? Does it look like the area is well kept and so on? Now again, I'm not expecting it to be like, you know, um, Knightsbridge in London or anything like that. Definitely not. But we need to be aware of that. We're not buying in shit holes. So definitely not. Back in 2007, when I purchased the first ever one, my process was: is it cheap? What's the rent? Has it got a roof? Let's go. That was it. And again, I'm glad that we started back then in 2007, 2008. Definitely learned a few things, but also made a few mistakes as well. So with this now, with this area, it probably needs about, it needs, stuff that we like really: new kitchen, new bathroom, new gas central heating throughout. What else it need? New rewiring and so on. So you're probably looking at everything, especially new front door and new back door. Might be able to get away with a couple of the windows. So we're probably budgeting about 25 there for that, something along those lines. That's not even including the garden. So the rental outcome on it though is, we have 2-bed terrace close to this, but again it's in a better area, 8895. We've got a 3-bed end townhouse at 1095. Again, it's a few miles away from this, but it's a similar footprint. So based on the area, I'd be expecting that to be about 1050, maybe 1075, something along those lines. So it was up for, or it is up, offers in region of 150. So we did the maths last night, although, you've always got, the more deals you look at and so on, you've always got a good idea of what's the yields and so on, what's the cash flow going to be like. So for us, really, the numbers don't meet it at that, really. So if you're thinking about it, it's up for 150. Say, for instance, you did get it for 150. You're then talking, what, at least 7.5, £8,000 for stamp duty. Again, legals fee, 2 grand, whatever they are, and so on. Then 25, 30 grand refurb plus 10% contingency. Now, again, going back to what I said earlier on, one of the reasons why you should walk the street to see other houses in the area, this same agent has also got a property up. Pretty much it was in a crescent. So, say that house is there, what I viewed yesterday, I walked the crescent, which then leads onto another road. So, and that one was up for 185, and they've had 2 sales fall through for that. So she told me yesterday. So then you think, I haven't had a look at the internals on that, but then you think, right, so if we're going to drop in 25, 30 on in this, and it's up for 150, so let's just call it 150 plus 30, that's 180, plus stamp duty, blah, 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 plus contingency, you might be all in at 190, only for it then to be valued at, again, the other house is 185, only for it to be valued at 190, 200, maybe 210. There's not enough spread there, there's not enough profit in there, because things do go wrong. You might uncover, especially when you start doing the rip out, jobs that you might not anticipate, which is why the contingency is there. So that really, don't fall for the scarcity mindset when there's lots of people on the viewing thinking, you know, I need to get this, I need to get this. Forget about that. It all boils down to the numbers. So make sure you're paying attention to the numbers. How much money would need to be invested? What's the refurb, stamp duty, legals? Then the end value of it, and then how much you're likely to pull out, especially if, obviously if you're using the BRRR strategy. So for us, really, there was a few too many things on that. Oh, and one thing I didn't mention, it looked like the roof needed a little bit of work too. So that's again another 4 or 5 grand on top of it. So I'll let other people scramble around for that one. Another viewing we did, not yesterday, the day before. And again, this is why you need to go on viewings all the time, really. Another viewing, this was up for 140. Pretty similar footprint, although this is bigger. Now, this is way underpriced at 140. However, on again, walking the streets and speaking to a local builder, there's been a couple of properties on that street that have suffered from subsidence. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean this will do, but again, there's always that, you know, that could be in there. However, obviously, if you put in an offer and it gets accepted and you carry out the survey, then what you do if the survey comes back and says, you know, we believe to fix this will cost £7,000, you then go back to the agent and say, listen, we're still interested, but you know the price needs to now be reduced by £7,000. I would rather spend a few £100s on a survey and then, you know, maybe potentially lose a sale rather than throw all the money in and then you've paid £7,000 more than you should do, and then start to obviously do all the extensive work and so on. But going back to this one, again, 3 bed. The thing about this was, though, it could be split into 2 self-contained units, which is fantastic. I think it had a floor space of over 80 meters, something along that. Yet 86 square meters. So again, 39 meters downstairs, 39 meters upstairs. Speak to the architect about this. So we'll probably like to put an offer in for that. However, speaking to the agent yesterday, and we haven't purchased any from this particular agent, speaking to her yesterday, they'd capped the bookings. So she had some yesterday, those were the first, then today, and then on Saturday as well. So I think she said she's got 32 people booked in for viewings. Say, for instance, you know, 15% put the hand up, 50% put the hand up, that's 16. Some of those offers might be really, really low balls, you know, 110, 120, 125, and so on. Some of them might be 140, but that does have potential. However, going back to the main purpose of the video, don't fudge your numbers. So we know really now, say for instance, if you're getting that at 150, that's 7.5, 8 grand stamp duty, whatever it is, plus the 2 grand legals, searches and so on. So you're then talking 37 grand deposit plus then another 10 on legals and blah blah blah. So that's 50 you're into already. Now there's nothing wrong with putting 50 into the property if you're going to be able to massively gain that back, really. So this is why you need to know your streets very well. For a 3 bed semi-detached like that with nice drive front and back, or nice gardens in the back, pretty much brand new, full refurb and so on, that should be, when you compare it to 2 bed terraces, which are going for 150, 160, that should be at least 210, maybe 220, possibly depending on the finish, maybe pushing 230. And again, you've got to make sure that you're really targeting your end user as well as possible there. So we're probably likely to put an offer in for that. However, I like to be positive. I don't think it's going to be accepted because there's going to be lots of people scrambling over it. And what you don't want to do, especially if you're a beginner watching this, don't get into an emotional bidding war. You know your top figure, don't go above that. Okay? So, you know, put in the first offer, which should always be rejected. If that gets knocked back, then maybe that afternoon or the day after, increase it. Then if that gets rejected, maybe leave it a couple of days or whatever, then go back with your final offer, an obscure number, and then that's your final one. Don't go £50, £100, you know, £1,000 over that. Estate agents will always say, well, we've had this other offer of, let's say, for instance, easy maths, £100,000. If you put in 105, you've got it. Well, why don't I just put in an offer of £100,000 and £500 rather than costing an extra 5 grand there? So again, they like to work in big round numbers. Why don't you throw in an extra 5? Why don't you throw in an extra 10? On bigger properties, why don't you throw in an extra 15 and 20? No, you're in control. You decide what your top limit is. At the end of the day, it's a business. So you need to make sure that all your decisions are based on business and the P&L. Have a look at your pounds, shillings and pence and make sure that it all works out. So just to conclude, don't be fudging your numbers. Make sure you keep your numbers strict. Always build in the contingency. Your refurb's going to take longer than it's scheduled to. It's going to cost more than you thought it would do. And there's obviously going to be obstacles, not problems, obstacles along the way. So I hope somebody found some value in that video. Please subscribe to the channel, give it a like and so on. And yeah, keep taking steps further forward, keep working on your mindset, keep working on your business, and keep building that wealth, probably through property if you watched in this video. All the best, everybody. Take care.